The Play Absolutely podcast with Dr. Sue Jennings and Dr. Andy Hickson. Hi Sue, hello again, and wow, we are on our third podcast. Amazing, we've kept going.
So exciting. Hello, Andy.
Yeah, I don't know the statistic, but I've heard that uh, much like new start businesses, podcasts, if you're lucky, I think people give up after about four. So this is our fourth. Hopefully, well, I think we're pretty strong on this. We do like it, enjoy it, and we've had a lot of positive feedback so far. So I see a future for the Play Absolutely podcast, if
Play.
I can say it right.
Absolutely.
So today,
No doubt about it.
yes, right. Last week we talked about water play,
Indeed.
sort of coming on from the first pod where we were talking about messy play.
Basically, all these very early beginnings is. But before you go any further, I'm bursting to share some good news with you.
Oh, go.
And I don't know if you know, the government at the moment in the UK is revising the whole school curriculum.
Right.
They've now announced, fingers crossed, that drama is going to be a subject again.
On the
And
curriculum?
on the official curriculum, drama is going to be a subject, and drama is to be used in conjunction with teaching English as well.
Wow.
So after all our depression that we were losing the arts out of
Mm.
education, it's such good news that's coming back. And I hope everybody will support it and we won't get any sabotage when we get some good drama teachers there in the schools,
I
because it's
think
been
that is
very sad.
absolutely amazing, and we must do a big shout out to all the drama practitioners, the teachers, the performers, the theatre and education people that have been shouting for this to happen for many years now. Of course, both you and I are of an age where we remember drama being part of the national curriculum. It was one of the normal subjects that we all did, and then it
Exactly.
disappeared.
And London had a senior drama advisor at
Yes.
County Hall who advised on all the other drama advisors in the counties who
Mm.
advised their drama teachers. I mean, it was a flourishing concern. And
Yeah.
slowly everything was knocked down like 10 pins. But a
For those,
revival.
sorry, say that again.
But for goodness sake, we've got a revival now.
A revival.
And what I find interesting myself, because I keep telling people that the success of the post office scandal,
Oh, right.
where at last people are being recognised and compensated, it
Mm.
came about because a piece of theatre. That play on television completely turned public opinion.
Tell us more. What was the name of the play?
Well, I think it was called, the name of that main guy who was pioneering it. It was under his name and the post office scandal.
Okay.
And until that was played, and it was a brilliant, brilliant piece,
Mhm.
government and the public were really turning away and shrugging their shoulders and does it really matter? But the actual extent of what was going on hit home through that play. And I kept saying to people, look, we just see the power of drama, the power of theatre. It's changed the lives of hundreds of people, who some of whom have died before they could get any compensation. Some committed suicide, very sadly. Others were bankrupted, families were destroyed.
It was terrible. And it's still
And,
going on for some people. I mean, it hasn't, just because of this resolution, it hasn't finished for some people. Their lives are a wreck.
and they're still insisting on having hearings and so on.
Mm.
But it was, for any change to happen at all, it was a piece of theatre. Yes, I think the fact that this piece of theatre happened to be on television
Mm.
meant that it reached millions of people rather than a few hundred in a theatre. And I think because of the subject matter, that was really, really important. And of course, it was directed, produced, and so on, and scripted. But thinking about our main topic of play with children, I think early on in children's lives, it's so important that they're allowed to play without being directed, that
Play.
they
So
have
we
free
we
play to discover things for themselves.
we talked about a directed play that had helped bring drama back to the national curriculum. Now you want to talk about free play? Are we going to call that free play, undirected play?
Well, in play therapy, it's
Mm,
called non-directive or directive, but
okay.
even those titles, I think, are very misleading.
Okay, would you like to just explain the titles and why you think they're misleading?
Well, people advocate non-directive play as the therapeutic method with play. But come on, it's taking place in a set room at a set time for a set length of time. Well, those are all very directive things already.
Has the
The
child
actual
chosen to be
setup.
there as well?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So the setup is directive.
Mm,
Now, if a child comes into a playroom with a play therapist, and apart from the ground rules of not deliberately hurting people and so on, just plays at what they want to do, it
right,
will always have a limit because it's within the child's own experience.
indeed.
Whereas if the play therapist can think out loud, it doesn't make it directive.
Mm,
It's just a sharing of some thoughts. So I use the technique of wondering, and I'll wonder out loud. Yeah, I wonder what would happen if the bear did go home. And the child will pick that up or not as they see fit.
mm,
But the non-directive play therapists see that as being directive and
okay.
leading the child,
Mm,
which I challenge in my own work because directive play therapy is when you've got a very specific goal and you want this child to learn social skills or particular technique. Therefore, you plan it, maybe several sessions
mm.
and a fixed curriculum. It's like any other sort of learning, but specific learning through play. That is directed play
Mm,
therapy.
if you want to sort of introduce like a new concept to somebody that they don't know anything about, you can
Hmm.
direct them in that sense. So yeah, a new concept, new ideas, as you quite rightly pointed out, that the child might not have experience of. Then
Hmm.
you want a little bit of direction there. But yeah, it's interesting. So directive play and non-directive play. Okay, there's a
Hmm.
place for both, of course.
Indeed. And my concern is that non-directive play therapists, if they come on a course, or say, well, of course, I couldn't say that to a child because I'm non-directive, and I couldn't say that, which is, in my mind, nonsense.
Okay.
You know, one can suggest all sorts of things without a child feeling obligated to do it. And
Mm,
there's no doubt that some children get stuck.
mm.
They get to a certain point in their play and struggle with what to do next or how to do something and so on.
Of course,
So I
that's
think
where we're sorry to interrupt you again. That's where scaffolding comes in as well, and that's a bit like
absolutely.
directive play, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I prefer to think of myself as a facilitator of
Mm.
play.
You can't say you're doing play therapy unless you belong to some kind of organisation. Is that right?
Well, the arts therapist, drama, art, music, and dance movement,
Hmm.
they are actually state registered, which gives them that protection.
Okay.
The government, for whatever reason, decided they weren't going to recognize any other creative therapeutic courses. So play therapists sought their own registration with an independent registration body.
Okay.
I don't think it's against the law to call yourself a play therapist,
Right.
but it would certainly be frowned upon very severely in the
Hmm.
field if you
So,
did.
so if we take a comparison, I know, I mean, they're related: drama therapy and play therapy. I mean, the two words become one, two becomes one. I think the word drama therapy is a protected word. Is that
Yes.
so? Drama therapy is protected, unlike play therapy, in terms of the word.
Mm.
Okay, so you can practice play therapy without, although you might be frowned upon, without having an official certification, but you can't practice drama therapy without having an official certification. Is that
That's
am I
that's in the UK.
in
Things are
the
different in other countries
okay,
and in the States.
right.
Many people get round it all by saying what they do is therapeutic play.
Therapeutic play, of course, is turning it around. Okay,
And
so if we don't want to scare teachers, parents off about using the techniques of play therapy,
mm,
because it's still free play. You can still freely use it, as we've discussed. Uh, what kind of free play? Let's start with free play then. When do you think free play is of the greatest benefit to use with young people, with children?
well, first of all, it gives them choice. So it's important there is a choice of materials.
Okay.
They don't have to be terribly complex or expensive custom designed toys. They can be your basics.
Mm.
And I've seen children play with a pile of cardboard boxes that products came in that they just use for making castles or
Mm.
tunnels or hiding and so on. That very important, particularly in this day and age, and much more awareness of the environment, that in our play we recycle stuff because
Mm.
historically children have gone out into nature and used things to be other things, have
Mm.
modelled things out of mud on the river bank, have used bits and pieces and made a pretend fire, and so on and so forth. I think recycling is not new. We just somehow lost sight of it.
And we saw that, of course, in when we lived in the jungle in the 70s. The children didn't really have toys as such like we were used to. They made use, like you pointed out, of everything that was discarded. So, we do you remember we brought in some provisions. A lot of it was in tin cans. We threw them away thinking it was all rubbish. And the next day we saw the children using the tin lids. They poked holes through them. They got some sort of thin bamboo, made wheels, got some other bits of the tin can, and we're making trucks and we're pulling them along the ground from exactly what we'd discarded the day before. Yeah.
Yes, it was very interesting how they turned whatever we threw away into something to play with.
Mm.
And it was similarly in Kazakhstan where I had a break and this child, very, very poor family, had absolutely nothing obvious as in terms of a toy. But he used to get empty plastic bottles and tie a string round them and make them bounce.
Right.
I thought, why not?
The
And
plastic
he
bottle
spent the whole
yo-yo.
morning bouncing these plastic bottles. It was very interesting.
Wow. How would that have helped in life? If we look at play as helping you in your life, or maybe there's some work aspect or something, what do you think that was helping with in Kazakh culture, society?
I think the most obvious thing for him was that it was developing his coordination.
Ah.
Because in his own head, he had a right way of bouncing it and one that didn't work. So he
Mm.
would do it all over again.
Mm.
And it was rhythmic. So he was walking and bouncing and moving to a rhythm,
Mm.
coordinating the piece of string and the plastic bottle.
The late famous Ken Robinson, where he talks about this classroom, and there was a young girl in the classroom, and the teacher had asked them all to paint a picture, and they were painting freely, free play, and the teacher went up to this little girl and said, "Oh, Molly, or whatever her name was, but what are you drawing?" And she says, "I'm drawing a picture of God, miss." And the teacher said, "Really, don't be silly. Nobody knows what God looks like." And the little girl, Molly, looked up at the teacher and said, "They will now." So it's a lovely story.
It's
Uh,
a,
and it's kind of, I think in some way encapsulates both of what we've been talking about, in that the teacher started off with free play. You draw a picture of whatever you want,
Mm.
and then not recognizing what the child was doing, or maybe trying to help them, I don't
Mhm.
know, then tries to direct that child away from her
Mm.
thinking.
Mm.
Um,
Yes, you can't move the goalposts during creativity.
yeah.
So that child was absolutely right in her response.
Mm, mm,
It's so easy to dampen children's creativity. And as you say, rightly, we're either directive and invite children to draw a Christmas picture, or
mm,
draw the countryside, or draw your favourite pet,
yeah.
if you have one, or as this teacher said, you paint a picture.
So let's just be clear. I'm not totally. So let's. So neurodramatic play uh, is neurodramatic play for directive play or non-directive play or both.
It's in the middle
It's in the middle. On the
because
fence in the middle or just drawing on both.
we draw on both, but we've transformed it, we've modified them.
Okay.
We we make suggestions, we create possibilities. All the time, those possibilities are to enhance the child's experience, not to impose what we want them to do,
Okay.
which is why we use so much the expression wondering.
So wandering in a way, you're suggesting ideas. If the child doesn't take it on board and carries
Fine.
on doing, then that's fine. So it's
But
not
your
really
idea might also lead them to think of a different idea.
okay.
So it becomes a playful interaction
Mm,
between teacher and child, not a directed action, not right, it's time we all have to do such and such. I
mm,
mean, that
mm.
is the most directive you can get, isn't it?
Yes, and sort of the directive play also suggests a power imbalance as well. That I have a better idea of what you can do than you do,
Mm.
whereas this idea of wandering, I don't know. I know you're not using the term in this way, but immediately coming to mind when you say let's do some wandering is you know, somebody traveling the world, or an Australian Aborigine, you know, sort of doing one of their walkabouts, or but that's kind of what it is. You're wandering in your mind, aren't you? You're
Mm.
going on a journey.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be a
Really allowing the imagination
mm.
some free rein.
Okay. So we're clear on the two sides of the coin, so to speak, and also there's a bit of a coin in the middle with where NDP has been planted. What's the future for non-directed play, directed play? I mean, are there any dangers of either that we should be thinking about? Are there any times when it could lead to real sort of negative
Mm.
negative
I
interactions?
think one issue that non-directive play therapists have to address is how do they handle when a child asks a question,
Okay.
which often happens that's
For
something to do with the root trouble with the child.
Can you give us an example?
Yes, a very clear one, working with a child who was self-harming.
Okay.
She'd pulled out all her eyelashes and or her eyebrows and was beginning to pull out her hair.
Right.
She was 9 years old, and it transpired through, shall we say, the facilitated play. I mean, at
Right.
the end of the day, she made decisions, and if she didn't want to do something, she wouldn't do it.
Hmm.
So she overall was in control. But then suddenly she said to me one day, can you inherit mental illness?
Hmm.
Now, some therapists would turn that around and say, I wonder why you're asking me that question.
I hate that response. It does something to me. But yeah,
But I'm very clear that she needed an answer.
yeah.
And there was quite obviously fear in her eyes about the question.
Mm.
And it was several months into therapy before she asked me that question.
Okay.
And she'd been through a series of different experiments that she wanted to do.
Mm.
So I was absolutely honest with her and said, there are some forms of mental ill health that we can inherit, or we can inherit a disposition to maybe we'll get it, but there are others not. And I promised her I would look up more information and bring it to the following session. And the relief that she'd shared that question with me is
Mm.
huge.
Mm.
The need for therapeutic understanding of child development. That if life gets unpredictable and uncertain, children find coping mechanisms that aren't necessarily helpful to their well-being or to learning or their relationships.
Okay. So tell us more about that.
Well, children will either, the famous fight or flight
Yeah.
responses, they'll fight back and kick out, have huge violent meltdowns,
Hmm.
or they'll run away or curl up in a ball and not react, or they'll freeze. I mean, those were the famous F reactions initially, but some more have been added. Another theorist has added the idea of fawning, which
Fawning.
is quite interesting, where the child tries to placate the aggressor.
Okay.
So, where there's domestic violence, for example, a child might try to fight whoever is the aggressor. They might run away, but they might also try to placate.
Mm.
That's fawning. Also, somebody else said that yes, there was also something called flocking, meaning people with a similar experience flock together.
Mm.
I introduced one of my own recently that I call fabling,
Okay.
and that's where the child tells an impossible story as a way of diverting away from what's been going on.
Okay.
So I had one child that said, "Oh, Daddy went to New York yesterday, but he came back for bedtime." And a whole sort of tale about Daddy's adventure to New York and bringing him presents and so on.
Mm-mm.
And I think children sometimes create the big story to keep covering up
The little story,
abusive or
or
negative.
the bigger story that they don't want anybody to know about
Mm,
because of repercussions, I suppose. I mean, however bad it is at home, the child obviously knows that if they do speak out, then there's the potential that either the parent gets taken away or the child gets taken away, of course.
absolutely.
And then some could describe that as, from the cooking pot into the fire because.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yes, we know enough about the dawn raids to remove children and being
Well,
taken off.
we don't want to sort of talk down about our social services, but I think it's a well-known fact that children that are brought up in the care system do less well in most aspects of their lives than those that are brought up in a family.
Mm. Yes, and I think we've a lot to learn still about if we are taking a child into care, the way we do it.
Right. So, all right, I'm conscious of time. Let's just tell us a little bit about what you just said in terms of taking children into care. What's the wrong way? What do you think could be better?
Well, in many families, whatever is going on is their own family system,
Mm.
something they're used to, something they predict, and so on. And it would seem that for some authorities, the only way to deal with that is a violent intervention, literally going at dawn when everyone's asleep, breaking the door down, police are with you, taking the child and putting it into temporary foster care.
Right.
Well, so you've already got two parenting situations, the birth parent and the temporary foster home. Then decisions have to be made, and maybe it's in court or the social services themselves, what to do with this child.
Mm.
So they may be in temporary foster care for a while just for getting used to it. Then they're taken away. No, they're not asked anything, as you say.
Mm,
The adults make the decisions and they're taken to another foster home.
mm,
Now, it may be that their behavior is such that the foster parents aren't prepared to put up with them.
yeah.
So they're moved yet again. I mean, there was one child who'd been in 16 placements before the age of 6.
My days.
And their clothes and possessions put in a black plastic bag and handed to the next foster parent. I mean, what sort of emotional life will that child now have?
It's like
Unless,
prison to prison, isn't it? Your bag, your belongings in a black bag.
Hmm. And you see, what also happens is that the child isn't told about this. Again, they're just removed and
Mm,
taken
mm,
somewhere like a
mm.
parcel. So long-term play therapy is the only way to make any sense of that.
So just before we go to the play therapy, uh, how do you think it could be done differently? So take the scenario you just did. How could that same child be cared for in a different way?
Well, for one thing, we need to stop the cutbacks in funding play therapy. All the therapies are being cut, and people are being told, yes, we'll fund 6 sessions.
Mm,
Well, you've only just got to know the child in 6 sessions.
yes.
So funding short-term therapy for severe situations is morally wrong.
Right.
We've we've got to make, however we do it, we've got to make some funding available for long-term play therapy and the arts therapies. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just play therapy, but it may be with the older child, one feels that drama therapy or art therapy are appropriate.
So can I just stop you there? Are you suggesting that before, instead of that dawn raid, that time, a bit of investment in that child and the family, in terms of having some play therapy or drama therapy, is a better way to intervene than the dawn raid?
Well, even before that happens, being able to do some assessment of the family.
Right.
I mean, if there is obvious domestic violence,
Mm,
that is criminal behavior.
yeah, yeah.
And why not think more seriously about an adult being removed rather than a child?
Yes. There's a
I'm
big
not saying any of these are easy solutions, Andy. I
no.
think because they're all cross-cutting and multiple, and then you get partners saying, I don't want to press charges
Mm, mm, mm.
when they've been severely beaten up and so on. It is very difficult and very complex. But I think we need to rethink the impact on the child, who is the innocent party in all this, but is often punished because carers say they can't cope with them.
Yeah.
And more understanding that when children display behavior, they're not being naughty, they're trying to communicate something, but they don't have the language, they don't have the words, so they show it through kicking and biting and screaming or throwing or breaking, whatever.
Mm, mm, mm.
They are communicating. All behavior, we say in NDP, all behavior is communication. And it's not always easy to understand it, but we must at least take a breath and try to understand it before we talk about difficult children. I mean, it's so
Yes.
dismissive. A child is naughty. Um, they're sort of moved out of the central concentration on good children that pass their grades and get good results in their stats and everything and win the competitions in sport.
Okay, so conscious of time, and we could be talking about this for hours. Uh,
Good.
so let's find a way to tie this up, and I think let's try as always. If we end on a positive in terms of some strategies or ideas that people can use in their everyday lives, and I like that link you made just at the end there between behaviour and communication. So let's talk to parents today. Let's talk to parents, okay? And remember, anything we talk about, we're not saying people should do this, this, or this. We're just offering ideas, suggestions of potential ways to.
Yes, and I think the ideas we share, Andy, are as much as parents and a grandparent as
Yeah.
they are as workers in the field.
Well, no, absolutely. We're both parents, and yes, you're a grandparent now, and well, you have been for a while. um, and yeah, so
Well, I'm a
behave.
great grandparent now.
You
That's very
are a
new.
great grandparent indeed.
But
So,
I think that parents could really be supported in understanding how important outdoor play is.
okay. So linking that to communication and play,
Yes.
in terms of the parent that's having difficulties in some way dealing with a child of their own
Mm,
that's presenting aggressive behaviour,
mm,
if that parent can find a way to think of that as communication,
mm.
how can the parent deal with and understand what the child is trying to say to them?
Sometimes we just have to hazard a guess. We
Right.
can't be sure what's going on. But so often violence and anger from the child starts to reduce if they get more attention and if they feel more secure in their attachment.
Hmm.
So the next time the child kicks out, find a way just to drop everything and go off to the park together. You
Just
don't have to live in the country to
yeah.
use nature.
Just on that point, is there not a danger though that if when a child demonstrates challenging behaviour, if you drop everything and give it your attention, then one of the things that child is going to know, if I kick off, I know I'm going to get all the attention that I'm craving, all that I want. So every time I want my parents' attention, I'm just going to kick off and be, be mean, nasty, loud, whatever, just to get my parents' attention. Do we not have that danger?
Well, no, it's like the danger people say you mustn't breastfeed for too long because a child will just want to go on breastfeeding forever. But that's just not true.
Hmm.
As we saw with the Temiars, a child might be breastfed 3, 4 years, but after that, they are incredibly independent and
Hmm.
self-sufficient. And what I call the drop everything technique usually only has to happen a few times. The child's starting to feel affirmed that they're getting the total attention. If there are siblings, maybe someone else, and auntie or dad or whoever can perhaps look after the sibling, so the individual child gets 100% of mum's attention.
Hmm.
Let's go off to the park and do things that you want to do. We've got
Okay,
1 hour. Let's have that together.
just let me try and throw another spanner in the works here. Uh, I just want to see what your response is. What about the if you got more than one child, siblings? So one of them kicks off, gets attention. The other child is nice, it's super polite, doesn't kick off any time, but they start to feel aggrieved that the one that's making all the trouble all the time gets good positive attention, and they are missing out. But what about that situation?
Of course, it will very much depend on the age of the children.
Right.
The older child would understand an explanation.
Mm,
Your little brother's not happy. Let me try and sort something out.
yeah.
It's the younger child. But you see, curiously,
Mm,
in that situation, it may be the presence of the younger child that's caused the meltdown of the older child.
right. Sibling rivalry.
Absolutely. And of course, again, we know the Temir had their own lovely solution that mum didn't stop breastfeeding the toddler when a new baby came along. She'd just have one on each breast and get on
Yes.
with it.
Yes, that was a sight for a 13-year-old when we first went there, where you'd see a sort of a 3 or 4-year-old on one side and a 6-month-old on the other breast. So let me see what I can add to this before we finish. in terms of you took it outdoors, I brought it back in again. I'm going to take it back outdoors again because I think whether you're playing or for whatever reason, I think we need more outside play, outside interaction. I mean, I know that
Definitely.
whenever my children, my young children particularly, if they're feeling anxious, if they're feeling like they've got too much energy, or or they're just being happy. I mean, it doesn't have to be a negative. Take them out into the country, take them out into the woods, take them out for a walk, up to the playground, up the hills, whatever it is. I think they will always, it doesn't matter what the weather's like, it could be pouring of rain, lovely and sunny, and they might not want to go in the beginning, but when they come back, right, I always notice they are in a much better mood. Any negativity they've run off. They come back, they're in a better mood, they get a better night's sleep at the end of the day, and they wake up, much pleasanter person, as do I myself. So I think more time outside, whether it's playing or walking, I think is certainly something that everybody, if possible, should try and do. And just if you, sorry to, I know you want to say something here, but just the last thing I'll say about this is we all know. Just remind yourself of COVID when you were stuck in the house and you couldn't go out, right? What it was like, and now you can. So take the opportunity, go outside and play more.
Yeah, all I was going to add to that was, and when you have the opportunity, try and plant something.
Okay.
Actually seeing something grow, even if it's a broad bean in a jam jar with blotting paper, which
Hmm.
used to be the old-fashioned growing in schools.
Yes, yes.
But the magic that a plant grows really has a very positive effect on people.
Well, I think that's a great way to end. I think go out and plant something. I practice something called guerrilla planting as well. I try to save as many seeds as I can, so the fruit, the other sort of vegetables and so on that I eat or we eat as a family, we save most of the seeds. We dry them out, and we make little mud seed balls. And sometimes I just have them in a plastic bag, the dry seeds. And every now and again, we'll be out in the country and I'll do what's guerrilla planting, which is literally grab a handful of seeds or the mud ball with the seeds and just throw them out on a verge, in the woods, anywhere, and let nature take its course. They
Mm.
will start to grow. Fantastic.
Great idea.
And you're helping the planet as well. Okay, well, I think we will tie this up now, shall we?
Okay, yes, I
Yeah,
think so. So
great.
keep playing and don't forget to play outdoors.
Stay safe. And don't forget to subscribe down below. Give us a like if you enjoyed today, and please leave any comments. Any comments you leave or you send to us, we'll respond to, and you could even promote or provoke what we discuss on the next podcast. So we'd love to hear from you. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.